Buenos dias. ¿Cómo está? Okay, since I didn't get much of a response, let's try this again. Good morning. How is everyone today?
Great, awesome.
Good stuff. Thank you for that. Oh, thank you, Tracy. Tracy's being sort of Tracy. So, thank you, Marianne, for bringing out the fact that I feel like I should apologize, but I'm not, but I feel like I should. So last week after service, I received a couple of emails and a couple of Facebook messages, regarding, what we talked about and stuff. And there were a lot of questions, and someone made a comment and said, I'm glad that I'm not in your community because you don't make me feel good. You know what my response was? My response was, oh, that's cool, because I'm not a feel-good kind of minister. I'm a do-good kind of minister. Because if we learn how to do good, then the feeling good comes. It's the idea of, do I want to simply feel good and comfortable and do nothing? I'm just, right, there are pills for that. There are a lot of things that people can do that if you just want to feel good, self-gratify yourself, not change a thing, there are a lot of paths to that kind of lifestyle. This teaching, this philosophy is not one of them. And if I challenge myself on a regular, because I do my best to do so, I do my best to stay on my brass tacks, to keep pedal to the metal, keep boots to the ground, to keep, as soon as the plane lands, I'm off and running. I do my best because I know who I used to be. And are there any comic book fans in the room? Marvel Comics, the X-Men specifically? Okay, there are a couple folks. So there's a character named Storm that Halle Berry, she was the actress who played the character in the movie. Well, in the comic book, Storm, who has the ability to harness all of nature's forces, lightning and wind and rain and snow, like all of it, she can harness all of it. And there's a line that she delivers in the comic book where she says, I must forever keep my mind focused, lest my powers run amok. She must consciously, consistently, always be mindful of, I could cause an earthquake if I sneeze. I could cause tornadoes just by giving somebody the side eye. I must forever keep my powers in check, lest they run amok.
Yeah.
We have this teaching that we know is a creative power. That the thoughts that we think align with the feelings that we feel, bring into manifestation, into form, things. Yet, how many of us are using our mental, emotional, and spiritual powers to really, really bring into the world of form what we desire? One of my favorite Bible verses that got me kicked out of church one time, Bible study one time for asking questions about it, but still one of my favorites. You have the power of life and death in your tongue. When we speak, are we speaking blessings or curses? Are we speaking that which is life-affirming or that which is not? There was a conversation, anybody in here have OWN or watch OWN? Oprah Winfrey Network, for those who may not know what I'm talking about. So last night there was a conversation with a room full of African American women. And the moderator was an African American gentleman. And they talked about a great many things, such as interracial dating and marriage and LGBTQ related things and like a bunch of stuff, abuse and like a bunch of stuff. And I mention this specifically because it was a room full of black women having difficult conversation. Because we as a community, meaning here, we don't grow, we don't change, we don't shift, we don't evolve if we do not challenge and engage. So love in action is about walking the walk. Love in action is about what can we do for self. Knowing that as I shift and change, it changes and transforms how I show up in the world. That's why this whole idea of what we're talking about now with ecology, spiritual ecology specifically, is the idea that how often do we think of the world out there as the world out there? But we never really bring it home and say that what is happening with forest fires and the burning of the Amazon and the depositing of waste into landfills and the amount of plastic in rivers and oceans and streams and lakes and we only focus on that, then we never really get grounded in the consequences of what goes up must come down, what goes out must come back, law of circulation. If it works for money, do we really think it doesn't work for trash and garbage and waste? What we give out, Mother Nature gives back. Are we really so arrogant to believe that it works with tithes and offerings, law of circulation, that it works with individual people and relationships? If I give love, I get love. But that we don't realize that nature does the same. It follows there's only one mind. That mind is
God's mind.
Oh, there's only one life. That life is
God's mind.
Oh, okay. So then nature exists within that one mind?
Yes.
Nature exists within that one life?
Yes.
So then the law of circulation works the same way everywhere. In all of creation, in every aspect of God's mind, spiritual law works. The law of karma, cause and effect, works. So when we are not accountable to what we are doing on an individual, solitary basis, then we're sort of dancing this great dance of spiritual arrogance, where we separate, like in Tupperware dishes. We separate, this Tupperware dish is related to the law of attraction and the laws of circulation when it comes to tithes and offerings. This Tupperware case is how this doesn't apply, where I can go to the store and talk about whoever I want to talk about, however I want to talk about them, where I don't ground myself in spiritual truth or principle. I flip the finger, I road rage, I do all manner of things without any care, concern, or accountability. What is the ecology of our lives? If you are an ecosystem, and you are, what does it look like? So, maybe most of you are not going to be able to read this, so I'm going to read it for you. Just as ecology is the branch of biology that deals with the relations of organisms to one another and to their physical surroundings, spiritual ecology deals with the relationships of each of the ways Spirit incarnates itself and the relationships of each incarnation within the physical, spiritual surroundings on earth. Spiritual ecology is an active and engaged practice of being in relationship with nature, God as nature, and the nature of God. It's a lot. But if you boil it down to one thing, relationship. How are we in relationship? Because we say, namaste, that which God is, sees and acknowledges itself, till Safi does something that I don't like. And then I'm mad at her because she laughed at me out in the lobby. No. But then, what is my relationship then? Like, we're all good when things are good, but when things aren't good, then it's easy to diss and ignore and, so you know, let me tell you, so she has this song that's such and such, and we're not supposed to tell anyone, but I wrote it down and I'd like to share it, let's print it, and like, what kind of relationship disrespects and dishonors? So the idea is, how am I in relationship with myself? That's one. Because what we know is, how I think and feel about me is going to have no choice but to show up outside of me. We have phrases that say, hurt people.
Hurt people.
What? No. Hurt people hurt people. And it's not saying that I was walking through the warehouse and I stubbed my toe and hit a piece of metal and it's like, oh, I hurt my toe, so let me go step on somebody else's toe. No, it's not that kind of hurt people. It's kind of, I was raised and I was abused and I was raped and I was this and I was that and I'm angry and I have low self-worth and and so now I'm going to spew that venom onto as many other people as possible. Because we have another phrase, misery loves. What in the wisdom? Like, we have phrases that remind us of this. That when we are not dealing with our stuff, we suck people in like our lives are the Titanic. If I'm going down, you're going down. Now you're not getting off on that raft because the raft is good. Like, we sabotage others because we do it to ourselves. So this whole idea of how am I taking care of my ecosystem? Knowing that, I'll come back to that. Knowing that in the general scope of an ecosystem, the biosphere, we have atmosphere and hydrosphere and lithosphere and the ecosphere, and it's all in the biosphere. Suppose this is all you, right? You are the big yellow circular thing. And within there, you breathe, right? It's atmosphere. You are solid, bone and stuff. You have blood and like, all of this represents aspects of ourselves, as above, so below. So anything we can identify in nature, in the body of God, in that which God is, then we should be able to find it within ourselves and within our surroundings. If we ever find our philosophy to be something where it's like pontificated, that which exists in the mind of God, for dost thou not knoweth that blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. If that's where the philosophy goes, then you know it's time to, like, turn a page. Because if it's not practical, and it's not applicable, either we are not at a place when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, so either we're not at a place where we're ready to glean from it, or the writer or the speaker is going somewhere where we're like, wait, what? Is he actually talking about the calculus of cotton candy? What? It doesn't make sense. It's all about the sweetness of, and love is so wonderful, and just love everybody. God is all there is. Love, 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 love. Love is the answer for everything. Love, 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 love. Yes. But I don't see your love in action helping those kids in those cages. I don't see your love in action when it comes time to vote for policies and principles and practices that are saving the planet. I don't see any love in action when it comes to the number of trans women of color who are still being murdered and disappearing. I don't see any of love. So don't preach to me about love, 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 and how love casts out fear and how love this, when your love in action is not doing a darn thing. It's lip service. So it comes time that at some point where we have to say, what does this philosophy, this teaching look like when I live it? How am I stepping forward to demonstrate that which I believe about love, about God, about spirit, about oneness. Because if I bypass and I spiritually just, I'm not changing anything. And ultimately, every time I do that, I'm depositing some form of garbage somewhere in the biosphere. Somewhere in there, there's radioactive waste. Somewhere in there, there's too much plastic that can't be recycled. Somewhere in there, I'm filling a landfill with the old thoughts and beliefs and paradigms that I was raised with. Somewhere in there, and eventually a sinkhole is going to open up. And a sinkhole turns into a dark night of the soul. And without a firm grounding and foundation, I have no idea what to do with that. And what we tend to do is we just revert to what we know. We go back to our old patterns and our old habits. But at some point, if we really are about this, and we want to, one, live as a beautiful ecosystem, and we want to create said beautiful ecosystem, then it comes time to really be about it. And I mean really be about it. How many of us were messy teenagers? You know, the thing was always clean your room. Clean your room! Your room is so dirty. Or maybe you weren't the messy teenager, but you raised one. Might be raising one. How many of us were the messy kid growing up, and the messy kid turned into the messy adult? Now, let's be clear. There is nothing wrong with being messy. No judgment. There are two kinds of messy. There is the messy that I know my system of. You go in the room, behind the hamper, there's a pile of papers. You go 3/4 of the way down, there's a pink sheet that's folded into an origami crane. Go there, go behind it, and that's where you're going to find the license. Like, there are some of us, we know our desk at work so well, even though you walk in there and somebody be like, what in the name of Godzilla just happened here? That's one. But then there are those of us who are messy, and it's just because we don't care. We're apathetic. It'll get done tomorrow. And tomorrow, as we already know, tomorrow never comes. Like, there is never going to be a day where I see Dr. Ronnie and I say, hey, Dr. Ronnie, what's up? And she says, oh, nothing, you know, and I say, you know what? What day is it? She's not going to respond to me. Oh, it's tomorrow. Like, she's never going to tell me that now is tomorrow. Well, she might, because she might want to mess with me. But she's never going to respond. Like, because tomorrow never comes. It's always today. So if I'm putting off doing something about the mess in my mind, I'll do it tomorrow. The mess in my heart, do it tomorrow. How many of us would accept a physician that when you go in for a dentist and you go in for some dental work, or you go in because there's chest pains and numbness, and they say, we'll deal with that tomorrow. What? Time out. We'll deal with that tomorrow. And then you show up. It's like, do you remember that joke I told you about the guy that walks into Starbucks? Or whatever coffee shop, for those who don't like Starbucks, Caribou. So a guy walks in and there's a big sign and it says, all drinks, 90% off tomorrow. He's like, and he leaves. And so tomorrow comes and he walks in, he's like, yes, I would like, and he gets the, whoa, I thought it was 90, and the guy points back at the sign and says, oh no, it's 90% off tomorrow. Yeah, but that was, I came in yesterday. Yeah, but it's tomorrow. Today is today. Tomorrow never comes. So when do we say, and when we make it for real about the ecology, when do we say we are going to get serious about recycling or being green or whatever it is to protect, defend the forest? There are people who even have referred to what's burning right now as the lungs of the planet. I don't know about you, but if all of a sudden one of my lungs burst into flames, I would be concerned. Oh, fire extinguisher, I would be concerned. But because we see Earth as other, because we see each other as other, even though we sing a song of oneness and unity, and that is all, God is all there is, when it comes down to it, we still see black people and white people. We still see gay people and straight people. We still see that, and we don't challenge ourselves enough to go beyond that. Even within this teaching, not too long ago, someone in our teaching told me that my color is a condition, and what we know is in this philosophy we pray to treat conditions, the effect, the outpicturing of, and my blackness is an effect of form. It's a condition, and that she could pray me white.
Wow.
A minister
Get out.
in our teaching. Unless we get serious about who we are and what we are, being love in action, being truth given feet to walk, then all manner of nonsense, all manner of ignorance and bigotry, all manner of each individual person's junk is going to continue to spill over. How many have ever watched an episode of Buried Alive or some hoarding show? How many have watched one where someone's house condition got so bad that the neighbors contacted the city because the smell or something was now coming and affecting them? So, like I said, what happens in the physical form is a demonstration of what is happening in spirit. As above, so below, as within, so without. There is no separation. It's all one mind and it's all one life. But what I was asking the other day about being spiritually relevant is about how is my spirituality relevant? Not the teaching, but how am I walking the walk, talking the talk, demonstrating love in action? So 3 key points that I want to remind, since some of y'all weren't here last week. This is your review for the test next week. I mentioned Ernest Holmes when he spoke about the Sermon by the Sea at Asilomar. And he made a comment, he said, the tree is God. When he looked out the window, he said, I see that tree is God, that squirrel is God. So my question is, where are you looking for God? There's a country west, I think it's country western. Looking for love in all the wrong places? First of all, metaphysically, what is that saying? If you're looking for love, then there are no wrong places. Love is all there is. God is all there is. Life is all there is. But it's how are you looking? And if you're not sure what love is, then yes, you are going to look for what you think it is because it's not what it really is. So if you're looking, where are you looking for God? You need look no further than your own breath. What does it say in the Quran? That God is closer than the very neck vein, closer than our breath and closer than our hands. It is right here where and what we are. It's all that is. So you need not look for it. Become aware of it. Where do you see? Where do you see it in? as and through. Because it's one thing to talk about it. Namaste. It's an altogether different thing to find those people who are the most challenging people in our lives and still see them as God. To still be able to see the turtle in your path on the way as walking through the park and recognizing that there are no coincidences and there are no accidents. It's there for a reason. What is the reason? That every tree and every flower, every breath, it's all God. But if we're not paying attention to that, then we're missing the divine opportunities. It's like Safi playing music and we put our fingers in our ears and close our eyes. The music is happening. But if we're not aware of it, then we don't get to partake and enjoy of it. Note number 2, stewardship. How do you care for that which God is? Because God is what? Everything. Ooh. How do you care for that which God is? God as nature. How do you care for nature? God as brothers and sisters. How do you care for your brothers and sisters? I keep saying, I am not my brother's keeper. Because that's what was asked. You know, God was like, so, where's your brother? Oh, am I my brother's keeper? No, you're not your brother's keeper. You're not your sister's keeper. You are your brother. You are your sister. Each of us is responsible and accountable for one another. How we treat anything is how we are in relationship with the divine. And if what it is what we are, then how we treat it is how we feel about and how we treat ourselves. You can't say you love God if you don't love yourself. Emma Curtis Hopkins, you know that name? Mm-hmm. I got you, Tracy, thank you. I'm going over a little bit, sir. Emma Curtis Hopkins is she's called the teacher of teachers because she was the teacher who taught Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who created Unity, and the Brooks sisters who created Divine Science, and not long before she transitioned, Ernest Holmes, and bridged the gap for him with mysticism. And one of the things Emma Curtis Hopkins says, and I think I actually want to quote her, maybe not. Oh, there it is. Okay, don't laugh. And one of the things that Emma Curtis Hopkins says, I am my own understanding of God. No word can express your understanding of God. You are it. From her book, Mental Practice. I am my understanding of God. So however I perceive myself, if I perceive myself as wretched and evil and bad, then I'm going to anthropomorphize and see God as someone who judges and identifies bad and all that. Like, that's what I'm going to project. And then I'm going to start looking for it on the faces and in the lives of everyone else. So what kind of relationship are you having? How are you stewarding your own life? Talks about the relationship we have with God. And then I mentioned Genesis 1:28, where what I specifically was, God said, so subdue the earth, and I was saying, so I looked at the etymology of to subdue and take power, like, oh, I'm going to control it and take dominion. And the etymology was actually to withdraw from. So what are we doing to withdraw and lessen the selfish, separate self from creation? How are we making the ego self, which eventually I'm going to stop even referring to it, because the ego's not bad. The ego serves a purpose. It's all God. It's all good. But it's how are we using it? Are we letting it use us? Or are we employing the power of it? But the ultimate thing is, how am I making my carbon footprint less? Not just in creation, not just in nature, but in the lives of everyone that I cross. So that when others speak about me, there is no need for them to say, oh, well, Ray is an ampersand, exclamation point, percent sign. Follow what I'm saying? That there's no need for those words to come out. At least not to be something that is factual. It may be their baggage. But what is my footprint? What effect am I having on the ecosystem of others in the world? So I looked up, we're approaching the end now. So I looked up like Ecology, and I found so many logos of so many people, and most of them have some version of the earth or something, and this, plant coming out of it. And every time I look at it, the first thing that came to my mind was our teaching symbol. Like that's what came to my mind with this idea that it starts in mind, it moves to law, and then it shows up. How are we connecting with mind, placing what we pray and what we speak into law, knowing that law is going to create into the world of effects accordingly? What ideas are we holding in mind, because ideas move into action and become the results? And the funny thing is, if we ever wonder, like, are we in alignment, look at the results we're getting and backtrack. If I don't like the relationships I have with my family members, what idea do I need to have in the mind of God to change the result? Not to change them, but to change how I am experiencing them. That I have complete control over. The rapist may still be the rapist. The abuser may still be the abuser. But I need not hate them anymore. My hate's not doing anything to them anyway. So how I relate to them changes. Seed, soil, and plant. What we plant as the seed goes into the soil and it outpictures. Isn't that very, very similar? So once again, look at the garden of your life. What's showing up? If we don't like, if we're not satisfied, if we're not completely energized and about whatever is going on, then it's time to change the seeds that are going into the soil. And I emphasize this because, so Dr. Ronnie's going to lead us in a visioning process today after service. And the idea is, it's visioning for our right and perfect space. Because this space is borrowed space. For those who may not know, this is called church in a box. Not because it's like we're in a shoebox kind of thing. It's called church in a box because every Sunday we unpack, and then after service we repack and put stuff back in storage. This is borrowed space. So visioning for our right and perfect home, where we have classrooms and rooms for youth ministry, where we have a soundboard and video area, it's our space. It's our home. But it doesn't stop there. First of all, it doesn't start there, it doesn't stop there. We have to get very grounded and very honest with if I were to ask you, and I'm not, but I want you to take this and think about this. Why do you come here? Why do you come here? Because there are a lot of other things you could be doing on Sunday morning. There are a lot of other places you could go on Sunday morning. There are a lot of other people you could be around on Sunday morning. But you choose to be here. And many people who can't be here watch it on Facebook or YouTube. So there's still some form of a connection. But ultimately, ask yourself, why do I come here? Because this Sunday thing can't be enough. This is not community demonstrating as a beloved community.
Hallelujah.
This is a group of people who come together under the banner of CSL Greater Baltimore for service on Sunday. World Day of Service is this coming Saturday. And I know that a lot of people aren't going to be available, but the idea is at some point we need to be in the community doing stuff. How do we engage? How do we get out there? How do we make ourselves visible? Not like, where's CSL Greater Baltimore? Like, I'm not talking about having banners and walking and marching through the street and stuff. I'm talking, that's, what I'm saying is we need to be out there. Conversations that Dr. Ronnie and I have had, and Kim, we were like, okay, when do we start getting into Baltimore City? When do we start showing up? Because there are specifically people of color in Baltimore who have no idea what this teaching is, and we know if the teaching works, we know that they can benefit from it. How are we getting to them? How are we getting out there and making this so CSL Greater Baltimore, so science of mind, religious science, is no longer the best kept secret, but that it is something that is recognized, that when the news wants to speak to a minister or a practitioner or someone at a community about the great works you are doing by feeding veterans and by tutoring kids in schools, by providing backpacks and school supplies and sweeping streets and teaming up with Baltimore Ceasefire and. We can't just change the ecology of our garden, because if we grow enough food here and we're all just eating it, some of it's going to go to waste. We have to make this so plentiful and so opulent that we are able to feed the world based on what we are growing, based upon what we are being. Let's pray. Simply anchoring in this moment of divine mystery, anchoring in this moment of divine peace and divine love, anchoring in this moment of allowing that which the universe is to breathe itself in this incarnating body. Simply allowing the body's intelligence to do what it already knows to do as respiration, to inhale and exhale. Simply bringing my mind and my conscious awareness to it and allowing it to be. Knowing that that which God is all there is, and it being all there is, then it must be right here, not simply with me, not simply in me, not simply moving through me, but that all that I am must be it, because it is all there is. God's stuff in human form. God's stuff in the form of chair. God's stuff in the form of podium. God's stuff in the form of guitar. God's stuff is all there is. If God was not here, then nothing would be. In the beginning was the Word. That Word was form, was flesh. Right here, right now, the truth that I know is that form and that flesh is what I am. Knowing right here and right now that God being all there is, then these words must be those words of Spirit speaking about itself. Love is all there is. Life is all there is. Peace is all there is. And knowing that that is all there is as the essence of what is, then I know that this truth applies to not just me, but to everyone in this room. To everything in this room. To this room and beyond. So the words that I speak right now about fires that are burning, what I know is that that which God is demonstrating itself as forest, as rainforest, as rain, as water, right now is in operation to restore peace, balance, and homeostasis to itself in these areas. That God, in the form of bulldozer moving through to tear trees down, stops working. That God, in the form of bulldozer, says, no, I will move no further. That God, in the form of men and women who want to cut down trees, that their consciousness right now is transformed, transmuted, and transmogrifying to know that love is all there is. And so saws are put down, that the need for money is put down. That right here and right now, every single one of us in this beloved community has a call, that the clarion call of love and life and spirit and magnificence is calling each and every one forward into greater and greater levels of expanded living. Greater levels so that we are sipping and drinking from our saucer because our cup runneth over. That if God being all there is, then each and every one of us has more than enough love to spare and to share, to demonstrate compassion and caring. That if we are going to say that God is all there is, love is all there is, oneness is all there is, then right here and right now I call forth that power and that presence to demonstrate love in action. That words by themselves are not enough. That we are now a community that acts on this philosophy, that walks the walk, that tends the soil, that plants the seed, that reaps the harvest. And knowing that this already exists in the mind of God, I know it is already done. In the mind of God, it is already fully formed and fully functioning. And so right now, as I surrender it to the law, as I allow the law to do what the law already has been, is, and will continue to do, saying yes, I surrender and allow that which already exists in the mind of God to right now show itself, demonstrate itself, manifest itself, show up in form, right here and right now. Knowing it is done, knowing it is so, together we as a community declare this truth by anchoring it and saying together, and so it is.